Thank you for taking time to join us today on our YouTube and Internet Radio FIBA Online. To share your thoughts with us, please message us at +91 6364252164 or email us at info@fibaonline.org. Most people with COVID 19 get better within weeks of illness. Some people experience post COVID conditions. Post COVID conditions are a wide range of new, returning, or ongoing health problems people can experience more than 4 weeks after first being infected or even immediately with the virus that caused COVID 19. Even people who did not have symptoms when they were infected can have post COVID symptoms. These conditions have different types and combinations of health problems for different lengths of time for different people. So, in order to talk about this subject of post COVID 19 effects and recovery, we have with us Dr. Sudhakar. Thank you, Doctor, for joining us again for the interview today.
Thank you, madam. Good evening to all.
Dr. K. Sudhakar is at present resident doctor at Madurai Medical College, Department of Neurosurgery. His areas of interest are in traumatic brain injury, neurocritical care, neuroendoscopy, and epilepsy surgery. He is the author and co-author of many journals. So, Doctor, I'd like to ask you, what are the post-COVID-19 effects, if you can explain?
Yeah, post-COVID-19 effects, the disease doesn't end with the recovery. Okay, it comes along with us during the recovery phase also. And the symptoms will be mild fatigue, malaise, mild cough, sore throat, or body pain, or diarrhea. These symptoms may come along with you for recovery phase, maybe some 10 to 15 days. Yeah.
Are there long-term or short-term effects, or is it just for a particular period of time?
Yeah, short term or long term, rather than short term or long term, this COVID recovery phase can take a prolonged prodromal phase. Okay, rather than the disease coming to an abrupt end.
Okay.
This COVID-19 takes a prolonged prodromal phase, and the patients takes a long time to get recovered. In spite of becoming COVID negative, people are taking long time to get recovery because it is a multi-system disorder. This infection affects multi-system, especially the heart, kidneys, intestine, brain, lungs, and the nasal passages, and the oral cavity, alimentary tract. That is the problem. Patients initially who are there with the ICU care management or taking long time to get recovered from the disease are more prone for these kind of complications during the post-COVID recovery phase, especially patients who are having diabetes mellitus, patients who are already on immunosuppressive drugs, especially post-transplant patients, HIV patients, or stem cell transplant patients. These patients are at risk of developing complications during post-COVID recovery phase.
Okay. So we have heard in the news and other social media platforms on of the different funguses. So what are the fungal infections post that can occur post COVID-19? Like we have heard of black, white, yellow fungus, green fungus. So doctor, if you can please explain to our listeners, what are these fungal infections?
Yeah, rather fancy names, isn't it? It is not that very fancy as the name suggests. Okay. The problem is we call them as opportunistic infections.
Okay.
They are opportunistic infections which attack our body or which gain entry when our immunity comes down. These are not new drugs, new infections. Fungal infections are not new ones. They are already present in this environment. Why India is more prone for fungal infections? Mainly because of our environment is more exposed to the poor sanitation conditions. Because of that, fungal vegetations are very rampant. Okay. One more thing is this: not only these fungal infections are opportunistic, some other normal commensals are also infecting the patients in the post-COVID recovery phase. The thing is, rather than being a COVID-19 pneumonia, the patient during recovery phase, the patient may develop secondary bacterial infections. Bacterial infections are also rampant, but the things which are coming to notice is only fungal infections, fungal opportunistic infections. That is not the only things are happening in the post-recovery phase. Normal organisms, normal commensals in the body, especially Staphylococcus aureus or Staph epidermis or Streptococcus viridans, these kind of infections, they cause pneumonia. The same viral pneumonia may take a new form. The cow may take the lion's skin, and they establish as secondary bacterial pneumonias. The viral pneumonia doesn't end with that. The viral pneumonia may give propensity, more prone for the patient to develop secondary bacterial pneumonias, especially the normal infections, which are Staph aureus, Staph epidermis, which are normal commensals. They are normally present in the environment. Now, coming to the fungal infections, they are infecting a person means their immunity is low, obviously, because fungal infection, they mostly attack people who are infections, immunity is very low, and they whose CD4 count is low. Especially fungal infections are very common with HIV infected patients or patients who are taking immunosuppressive drugs. Those patients are post-transplant patients, stem cell transplant patients, organ transplant patients, or patients who are already having uncontrolled diabetes mellitus, or patients who are taking steroids. Steroids are already an immunosuppressive drugs. They suppress the immunity so that they reduce the inflammation. That is a mode of action of steroids. Here, we give steroids in a to reduce the inflammation caused by the COVID-19 infection. So patients are more prone to develop fungal infections. Three or four types of fungal infections are very common. The first being the most common is aspergillosis. Aspergillosis, also called as white fungi, they causes aspergillus pneumonia. They just like secondary bacterial pneumonia, these patients develop fungal pneumonia. This fungal pneumonia goes unnoticed because in India, we don't do culture for fungus routinely like we are doing for bacterial cultures. Okay, so fungal cultures take a long time to grow. That is the other factor. And all our hospitals, or most of the hospitals, not that very sophisticated to develop fungal culture media or fungal detecting antigen assay test or polymerase chain reaction test to detect the fungal pneumonia. First thing is aspergillus, which is very common. However, the literature says something around 2.5% of the patients are getting infected with aspergillus pneumonia. Aspergillosis can also affect the nasal cavity. They are invasive fungus. What they do is the normal tissue. They invade the normal tissue and they destroy the tissue. That is the only problem. That is the main problem. So when they enter the nasal cavity, they try to invade the nasal carrier pathways, and they enter into the nearby orbit, and they destroy the orbital structures. And there, one more thing is the nearby thing is still go far beyond that is brain. They invade the brain. They destroy the normal soft tissues in the skull base, and they enter the brain. So they gain entry. So they cause it is a rail track phenomenon. They go along the pathway. Wherever they go, they destroy the normal tissues. One is aspergillosis. Next is the more deadly one, and everyone knows about this. That is the black fungus. That is a mucor fungus. These mucor fungus also gain entry into the nasal pathway, and they destroy the normal tissue, and they gain into the orbit, and from orbit they destroy the orbital contents, and from orbit they go to the brain, and they get destruction of the base of the skull, causing abscesses. Infective environment is rampant because of this fungal invasion. One more thing is candidiasis. That is the white one. This white fungus is called as Candida species. They cause a layer of white patches. They cause a layer of white patches in the digestive system. Starts from the mouth, and they involve the esophagus, and they cause a layer of white patches, and which causes infection. These are one thing which is very common is because of the immunosuppressive nature of the patient is more prone for it. Just because of this immunosuppressive state, because of the use of steroids or the COVID-19 pneumonia itself reduces the CD4 count. So that causes more rampant fungal infections in the body. One more thing is the other one is the deadly one is Cryptococcus. Cryptococcus pneumonia. Cryptococcus pneumonia most commonly previous days it was affecting the HIV infected patients because of this COVID-19 in HIV infected COVID-19 patients. They are even more prone to develop Cryptococcus pneumonia and cryptococcal meningitis. They affect the brain and they cause inflammation in the brain. These are the common fungal infections which affects the patients who are recovering from COVID state. Especially people who have to be more cautious are diabetes patient who are already receiving immunosuppressive therapy for post-transplant status, or stem cell transplant patients, or patients who are receiving long course of steroids, or patients who are in the ICU for a long time, maybe more than 50 days, maybe more than 1 month, and who are on more stale with ventilator support. These patients are more common and they are more in propensity to develop fungal infections.
Okay. So, what are the symptoms to identify if
The
they are
fungal
getting?
infections, they go along with the viral infection. They go along with the viral infection. Post recovery phase, patient develops symptoms of first in the nasal cavity. They develop simple nasal discharge or nasal blockade or sinusitis like symptoms, stuffiness of the nose or running nose. These kind of symptoms patient may develop. Then later on, when they get orbital invasion, patient will have swelling around the orbit, just a simple swelling around the orbit, edema, and eye discharge, watery discharge from the eye. The patient may develop orbital extension, and after that, the patient may develop lesion involving the brain, cerebral abscess, focal neurological deficit. Patient may develop seizures or may develop weakness of the upper limb or lower limb because based on this position of the abscess, and patient may also develop lower GCS, lower conscious level of the state. So patient may become unconscious because of the rampant spread in the brain.
Okay. So, when should a patient go and see the doctor? Is it immediately? Should they consult a doctor?
Cautious advancement is very, very important. People who are already at risk, especially a diabetes mellitus patient, immunosuppressive patient who are already receiving immunosuppressive drugs, or post-transplant patients, or post patient who have received stem cell therapy, or HIV patient. These patients has to be watchful for these symptoms, especially running nose, blockage of nose, or nasal stuffiness, or patient getting watery discharge from the eyes or swelling around the eyes, and they have to immediately consult their doctor and they have to get evaluated for it.
I want to ask you if the vaccines will prevent from the fungal infection.
Fungal infection itself affects a patient who is already immunosuppressant,
Yes.
who is already his immunity is low. Okay, so there is the only way is to recover from fungal infection or is getting treated by the drugs, by giving drugs. But the fungal infection, they develop a barrier around them. They develop a barrier around them. So the drugs take more time or more concentration of the drug is necessary to for that the drug to get enter into the involved tissue. So that is the only problem with this fungal infection. People are getting recovery in spite of this invasive disease or maybe we have to get rid of that involved tissue. So we have to remove them, do a surgical procedure so that we will remove all the involved tissue, so that make the orbit or the brain, protect it from getting infected again.
Okay, thank you, doctor. So we have heard of antibody dependence enhancement. Can you explain this term?
A nice question. Well, actually, the thing
What is
is,
it?
we are taking vaccines to protect us from the virus, right? But some of the virus, they are they have more affinity for these vaccines. These vaccines will develop antibody in the body, and they protect against some type of virus. If you are taking vaccine for COVID-19 pneumonia, they protect us from COVID-19 virus. But the thing is, other viruses, especially respiratory syncytial virus or measles, these viruses, they have more in affinity for this antibodies. That is the antibody enhancement. That is the antibody itself enhances other type of viral illness. So it opens the door for other viruses to come and infect our body. That is the antibody enhancement effect. So this is the problem with vaccines which are based on the antibody titers. So it was a stumbling block for the researchers who were developing vaccines, but it has now overcome. We have come beyond that, and nowadays vaccines are very effective against both this COVID pneumonia, and they are not causing other diseases.
Okay. So, what are the precautions people need to take and keep in mind post COVID-19 recovery, especially those with comorbidities of diabetes and high blood pressure and other ailments?
Stay simple, madam. Stick to the basics. Stay simple, stick to the basics. Protect yourself, create a personal barrier around you. Safe distance maintaining is very important. Mask is very, very important. Social distancing and avoiding unnecessary crowded environment is very, very important. This is the mantra. These are very simple steps, and frequent sanitizer usage. These are the very simple steps, but very, very effective steps. Barrier is the only way of protecting against from COVID-19 pneumonia and protecting the vulnerable population from COVID-19 complications. Barrier, barrier, barrier. You stay away from the infective ETHL. That will be more than enough for you to protect yourself. That's all.
Okay. There's another question in my mind. We hear of COVID-19 patients or some of them having cardiac arrest. So, what is the correlation between the lungs and the heart? Can you explain that?
Very simple, madam. Very simple. I have already told you the COVID pneumonia, COVID virus, they have more affinity for ACE2 receptors, angiotensin converting enzyme 2 receptors in the intestine, in the lungs, in the heart, in the brain, and in the nasal cavity. And these receptors will take over this virus. Okay. And these receptors will gain entry to the virus, and that will cause thrombosis, that will cause clotting of the blood. Okay, wherever the blood flows, they cause a rapid clotting of the blood. If it is going to the lungs, the clotting will be rampant and it will cause pulmonary embolism. It will shower. The clot will shower rather than a free flowing of blood. It will be a clot. What will happen? It will obstruct the pathways. Okay, so if it is happening in the lungs, it is causes pulmonary embolism. If it is happening in the brain, it is causing stroke. The same thing happening in the heart. If it is this clot go and obstructs the pathway valve of the heart, it will cause severe myocardial infarction and cardiac arrest, stopping of the heart. That will result in death of the patient. So it is the final pathway, but it is very common because of this altered coagulation pathway, altered coagulation clotting system in the body because of this COVID-19 pneumonia. So more people died or dying because of this cardiac arrest.
Yeah, thank you, doctor. Doctor, do you have any concluding thoughts?
Of course, of course. COVID-19 pneumonia is not a new one. It is not a new one. It is an enigma forever. It is an enigma forever. It will stay with us forever. We have to follow basic barrier techniques. That's all. We have to follow simple basic barrier methods so that we will protect ourselves from this COVID-19 pneumonia. It is not a wave which comes in the season. It is not a disease which comes only for short period of time. It is going to be throughout our life. It may. That is the reason researchers are telling that this virus is going to be rather than being a pandemic, rather than being an epidemic, it will become an endemic. It will live along with us. It will link along with us. But the pathogenicity, but the virulence will come down. So, only way of protecting ourselves from this COVID-19 pneumonia is have a safe barrier method. Create a personal space. Create a personal space for you and protect yourself from getting infected, especially vulnerable groups, older age people, people who have already taken immunosuppressant drugs, people who have received transplants, people, diabetic persons who are already in the risk. These peoples have to be taken care of, especially vaccinate them. All eligible candidates should be vaccinated. Vaccinated can protect us from this COVID-19 pneumonia, and we can follow our normal, regular, routine work.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Sudhakar, for
Thank
explaining
you.
so well, and helping us understand about the fungal infections and also what we need to do at this point in time, what we should be cautious about, the vulnerable people, group of people, what they should do. And it is so important to get vaccinated. Thank you so much for sharing
Thank you.
in detail and helping us understand the coronavirus and the variants, and also about post COVID-19 recovery.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, on behalf of FIBA, we thank you very much and we wish you all the very best. Uh, to reach out to us, please call us at +91 6364 252164 or email us at info@fibaonline.org. Please do follow the COVID-19 protocols. Stay safe and God bless.